KPBS On Demand is supported by Fleet Science Center's newest exhibit, Survival of the Slowest. See firsthand how nature's smallest, slowest, and weakest creatures can not only survive, but thrive in the wild. Open May 24th through September 1st. Learn more at fleetscience.org.
Good morning. I'm Katie Hyson in for Debbie Cruz. It's Tuesday, February 18th. Coming up, how might President Trump's tariffs on aluminum impact local breweries? More on that next. But first, let's do the headlines. The salvage and recovery of a Navy jet that crashed into the San Diego Bay last week is ongoing. The first pieces of the jet were pulled from the water on Sunday. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. The Navy says the operation could take up to 2 weeks. In the meantime, officials have issued a notice asking the public to stay away from the wreckage that's still in the water off Shelter Island. They warn debris may wash ashore. The 2 pilots who ejected from the jet before it crashed have since been discharged from the hospital following a medical evaluation. Construction is starting on an expanded promenade honoring LGBTQ pride in Hillcrest. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria joined other community leaders to celebrate the start of construction. The project will transform much of Normal Street into a pedestrian-friendly space. A playground, seating areas, and shade structures are among the new amenities being added to the promenade. The project is funded by the city and overseen by the San Diego Association of Governments. It's expected to be completed by late 2026. You can put away your umbrella and jacket, at least for a little while. The National Weather Service says warmer weather conditions are headed our way. Today along the coast and in the valleys, it'll be in the 60s and 70s. In the low desert, it could get up to 80 degrees. Things start heating up Friday, and into the weekend, temps could reach 70 degrees, up to the low 80s for the coasts and valleys, and high 80s in the desert. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by the National Conflict Resolution Center. Geopolitics, a divisive election year, and strained budgets are all topics that can create tension in the workplace. NCRC can help workplace leaders navigate polarizing issues with the Culture, Communication, and Conflict Certificate. More at ncrconline.com.
President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on all aluminum and steel imports are expected to take effect next month. North County reporter Alexander Nguyen says they could crush the already struggling local brewing industry.
This is potentially a nail in the coffin for a number of little craft brewers.
Chris Kramer is the co-owner of Karl Strauss Brewing Company. It's one of the oldest craft breweries in San Diego. He says the tariffs come at an unwelcome time for the industry.
Last year, more craft breweries went out of business in San Diego than ever before.
Since the pandemic, breweries have relied more on cans for sales since customers have been slow to return to tap rooms.
So the margins have shrunk significantly. And now what you're facing is that this one thing that craft brewers, uniquely do, which is, we put beer into cans, so people buy them here at our breweries.
The tariffs would hit all aspects of the industry, from the steel used to brew the beers, to the kegs used to store them, to the cans to sell them. Kramer says there's only so much customers would be willing to pay, leaving breweries to absorb the rest. And smaller breweries won't be able to shoulder it. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
President Trump's Day 1 executive order freezing billions in aid to countries around the world has had impacts just across the U.S.-Mexico border. iNews Source reporter Sofia Mejias Pasco has the story.
Claudio Portela directs 2 migrant shelters and a soup kitchen with Proyecto Salesiano in Tijuana. After Trump halted foreign aid distributions, Portela said more than half of their services are affected. But they have to stay open, she said. People in need keep coming.
Y nosotros tenemos que funcionar. La gente va a seguir viniendo. Los albergados siguen estando aquí. Hay que atenderlos. Entonces, es muy difícil.
The 90-day freeze calls for the review of foreign aid programs to ensure alignment with Trump's America First agenda. The U.S. government spends a small fraction of its budget on international aid, but Trump has targeted the spending and questioned its value to taxpayers. Portela said she hopes the funding will return after 3 months, but it isn't guaranteed.
Confiamos que regresarán, pero en este momento no podemos atenernos a eso porque realmente no sabemos, ¿no?
Last week, a community health clinic for migrants and local residents closed. A playtime program for migrant kids ended. Portela said both were due to the American aid freeze. For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource reporter Sofia Mejias Pasco.
These and other actions by Trump sparked President's Day protests in cities around the U.S., including San Diego. Reporter Tanya Thorne was at yesterday's protest along the downtown waterfront.
We the people do not fear. We stand up for justice here.
Around 500 people were at the county administration building on Monday to protest President Donald Trump and the new administration. Each had their own reason for being there, and they range from immigration, LGBTQ rights, to climate action, and more. The tipping point for Ray Melvet was when his daughter and son-in-law were laid off unexpectedly.
So my daughter and son-in-law both are rangers in Yosemite, or at least they were till 2 days ago, when they received a stock email that came and said they were no longer competent for what the job that they're doing is.
Melvet lives in San Juan Capistrano. He drove to the San Diego protest to support his daughter and the many federal workers being laid off. He admits many of President Trump's actions had not had a direct impact on him until they did.
It's going to happen to everybody. Tomorrow it'll be someone else. It'll be their sexual orientation or whether they voted for the president or not will be targeted.
The groups are organizing a nationwide blackout on February 28th, where supporters are asking the public to refrain from any shopping. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
It's hard to imagine the mental toll of last month's devastating wildfires in Los Angeles. But two San Diegans are doing what they can to help people heal with the help of some feline friends. Reporter John Carroll has more.
Shortly after the wildfires, Cat Lounge Rescue and Adoption Center owner Renee Shamlou began a donation drive for people and animals affected by the fires. After she delivered all sorts of donations, she thought about what else she could do. That's when she got a call from Cat Cafe owner Tony Wang.
And then Tony reached out to us and said, can we partner together in offering like the half-off admission to people? And I was like, that's a great idea.
Wang says he hopes people take advantage of the offer and spend some healing time with the cats.
Come on in, pet a cat, take a load off for a few minutes, just relax. You've got a lot going on in your life, and if we can help you de-stress a little bit, we're happy to do that.
Both Wang and Shamlou say they'll continue the offer for as long as those who've suffered such devastating losses want them to. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Playwright Keiko Green's Empty Ride brings personal history to the old globe. Set in a small Japanese fishing town ravaged by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami, the play explores loss and the supernatural. Reporter Julia Dixon-Evans spoke with Green.
The play begins with the character of Kisa getting a call that there's been a disaster in her hometown of Ishinomaki. Playwright Keiko Green lived that moment herself. Her family is from the area.
So when the tsunami hit, my brother and we happened to be living in Brooklyn, and we met at this diner, and I just remember, having a cup of coffee and refresh, hitting that button.
Kisa loses her mother in the tsunami. Years later, she returns home to care for her ailing father and take over his taxi route. Empty Ride translates to kuten, a taxi term for when the meter runs, but no one is riding. Green weaves in supernatural elements, inspired by the village's staggering casualty count.
100% of the taxi drivers in Ishinomaki had reported that they had had a ghost passenger.
Commissioned by the Old Globe, Empty Ride was part of last year's Powers New Voices reading series. It's on stage through March 2nd. Julia Dixon-Evans, KPBS News.
That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Katie Hyson. Thanks for listening and have a great Tuesday.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Latino Legacy Foundation, presenting their Storyteller series, Reach for the Stars with Ellen Ochoa, the first Latina astronaut, former NASA director, and San Diego native, Sunday, June 29th. More at latinolegacyfoundation.org.